Hello and welcome back, everybody, to The Peel. This is the third episode of our production podcast for Team 5. As always, I am your host, Spood, and joining me today
is Cabral. Hello again. Yes, welcome back to The Peel. Last time we talked about artwork and had a lot of fun with Paisley, our art director, and Deafwise, our background artist.
Among other background artists, yeah. He's our head background artist, you could say.
Sorry, yes. We do have more background artists than just Deafwise at this point.
We do.
But it's crazy because Deafwise was actually introduced to Team 5 by who we're talking with today. And that is Neville, the voice.
And you can introduce yourself whenever you're ready.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, hello there. Hello, everyone. How's it all going? My name's Neville Vyashki. I'm the voice actor for Flareon, and...
That is true. Formerly our Furret as well.
Oh, yes.
That had to change.
Yeah, we had to make a few changes there, didn't we?
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah, that was way back for the original project. We had you for Furrets, and then we had our editor, Lightning Rabbit. He was originally going to be Flareon in the original, 2015 version of this.
Mm-hmm. And we will talk about that more imminently.
9 years ago.
God, don't remind me.
Oh, for sure.
But before we jump into all of the Team 5 specific stuff and we talk about our process and all that fun junk, I'd love to hear you tell us a little bit about yourself, Neville. What is your background in voice acting?
Well, I've been doing voice acting for a long time now. I've done radio, I've done audiobooks, I've done musical theatre, some stuff on TV. I've just been all over the shop. I used to do a lot of stuff for the Brady community. That's how I want to say originally got my start. Just giving that a shot.
That's like half of the people in this production, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It was a big community, and there's a lot of super talented people in that. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Team 5 being 9 years old. How about My Little Pony being 14 years old?
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Might be closer to 13, actually, but, semantics.
Yeah, semantics. That's what we'll call it.
No, I was just going to say I've been doing it for, I don't know. I mean, I want to say I've been doing voice acting ever since I was a little kid, but, it's like, I've not been, that was always just, you do it with your toys and whatnot. You copy movies, you do your own personal radio stations. It's something I've always done and just never realized I had a talent for until somebody, poked me and said, you do a pretty good impression of that guy. It's like, oh, you should be a voice actor. Oh, is that hard?
And then you said, okay, I will.
No, I didn't. It took me another 10 years or so.
Did you do any stage plays at all?
Yeah, I did Avenue Q. That's the biggest one I've ever done, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, we talked about this, I know, a long time ago. Who did you voice in Avenue Q?
Well, I was playing Rod. You might know him. Nice. He's an investment banker and very, very, we could say quirky.
Avenue Q, great show.
So good. Loved it.
It's great, though.
Yeah, I've done a lot of musicals, theatre stuff. I miss it. I do miss it.
Yeah.
At the moment, all I do is Twitch streaming, so yeah, I'm on that side of the fence until something better comes along.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And we'll have some affiliate links and things down in the description below, by the way. So you can find where Neville is and where he does stuff and things.
And we'll give you a chance to plug it at the end of the podcast as well.
Oh, yeah. We'll circle back around to that. When did you first learn about Team 5? I don't remember if I reached out to you or if I found you through another connection way back in the day.
I want to believe that you reached out to me at the time. We might have had another connection, just being in a project together, another one. And
I think that's what it was.
He's like, hey, do you want to do some voice acting for a project I want to do? Like, I'm always up for voice acting. Sure, what you got?
Yeah. Goodness, that was a long time ago now. That was almost 10 years ago.
way back in 2015.
Way back in 2015.
You have been doing stuff on and off for Team 5. I mean, obviously, there was quite a long hiatus between 2015 and 2000, we'll say roughly 22. I mean, it was very end of 2021. I don't know if you were involved at that point or not. But, you know, can you sort of talk us through... sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember that it was back when we were on Skype, so...
Yeah.
In fact, we actually have the old Skype logs, the Team 5 conversation. Not the entirety of it, but a bit of it for sure. I think Spood over here actually has some Skype logs that capture, at least a few months of the Team 5 conversations before it ended off, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was, kind of an act of divine providence that I was able to get those files off of an old laptop that was disconnected from the internet, so it didn't get all of its Skype logs purged.
Yeah.
As many people's were after it updated to being like a cloud storage thing.
Yeah. And speaking of some voice acting stuff, Spood, you obviously voiced Jolteon. What's that kind of been like? Because you were brought on originally also to be Jolteon as well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of retreading some old ground from the first couple of things that we've talked about, Neville has so much experience and like a real, professional resume, and he can point at all these things that he's done and say like, well, I'm a professional voice actor, I've done this and that, and it's really, really cool. And I have the exact opposite insofar as I have nothing on my resume. I did voice acting for a friend of a friend. I did a doctor in I think it was a visual novel made for like a game jam. I don't think it got like super huge. And that was after Team 5 started even. So as far as like what I had coming into this, it was pretty much nothing. Just like live stream experience and doing YouTube videos and, being like a presenter by trade, not so much an actor. But it was, it was exciting to do Team 5, and I think you can definitely tell I got better at it as the show goes on. There's a lot of times where I hear some stuff that I have recorded back, like, a year later, and I think, like, I could do that again. But, I know that if I do that again, and then we kick it forward another year, I'll hear the thing that I did this year, and then I'll think, well, I could do that again, and then... it never ends, so you have to kind of just make your peace with what you got.
The never-ending cycle of improvement is really an issue that everyone I think suffers from.
It's a killer.
It is.
But that's, Team 5 was pretty much my first foray into this, and, my involvement in Team 5 began with me as Jolteon's voice actor, not as, like, a writer or a producer or any of this other stuff that I ended up kind of bumbling into. I was just the voice actor for Jolteon, and I actually did recently go back and listen to some of my old stuff from 2015, and my God, I hope you don't get a chance to hear that. You might someday, we'll see. It might be like a Patreon release thing, but
ooh.
Not the greatest. But yeah, I know I'm being kind of down on myself right now, but I actually do think that we ended up doing a pretty good job, and I think at the end of it, I was pretty happy with. We just rewatched actually Team 5. A couple days ago, you were showing it to a new friend of yours. And,
new line artist for us, actually.
Yeah, new line artist, actually. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting back and thinking, like, oh, okay, it actually sounds better than I remember it sounding. So I was pretty happy about that. And Neville, you do such a killer job. It kind of goes without saying, but just in case you need to hear it, you were so good. The people in the comments really love you.
Yeah.
I've always listened, every time I listen back to my own voice acting or anything, I always go, oh no. I should have done it this way. I should have inflected it that way. No, it needs to be a bit more of this. It's like that inner perfectionist inside of me kills me every time because I will never be satisfied with my own performance. So I just give it my absolute best and just do as many takes as possible.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt having more takes.
Hey, and before we keep the ball rolling, I think it would be remiss not to mention that you, Cabral, voice Vaporeon.
I do voice Vaporeon. I've grown up doing a couple theater things. I did plays from middle school into high school. I did various acting in college as well for short films and some friends made, but I never did anything like professionally. I haven't done anything to where I've made money off of any sort of acting or whatever I did, but I've always tinkered with it. It's always kind of been there. And as someone who started and stopped a bunch of projects, again, Team 5 being one I've started and eventually stopping because we're going to finish production on it. That's exciting.
That's true. I mean, hopefully we stop it at some point.
But I've always dabbled with it. I've always done my best to just have fun with it too. Like I really enjoy doing funny voices, and I've always got like a little. Anyone who talks with me knows I'm always either humming or like doing a little ditty or something with my voice. Like I've always got like a song on my heart, I feel like. And I think that just kind of like naturally kind of plays into the energy of like acting, but maybe that's just me being silly.
No, I think you're onto something with that.
Yeah.
I think it takes a certain kind of personality to want to voice act, and I think even beyond that, there's like Team 5 is it's a drama. Like there's a lot of serious moments where you're expected to take it seriously and be serious, for lack of a better word.
Oh, for sure.
But there's also a lot of it that's goofy and fun and cartoony, and there's a lot of Cabral and I ended up filling in a lot of back voices, and Neville did as well, a couple.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of those characters are just kind of zany, like you just I'll put on a little thing on your voice, and people, not everybody loves it. I did receive a little bit of pushback in a comment.
You're always going to get something from someone, but they're all.
No, it was okay. It was very respectful.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have fun with the voices. It's like there's no in-universe guarantee. It's like, oh, it has to sound exactly like this. I mean,
yeah.
Look at what a bridge series is. I mean, you got characters like Krillin who can sound. Come on, guys, we gotta go like this. But if you've got Dragon Ball Z Bridge, you go, come on, guys, we gotta go over here like this. So, they're completely different, but they're both amazing, and they just work,
And that's what it is at the end of the day, when you, especially if you want to like get into voice acting, you've been voice acting, and like some people kind of default to their own voice, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's strengths in different voices. So when you're trying to be a little like goofy or a little different of like how people perceive the character or how they visualize the character, sometimes going over the top really helps emphasize characteristics, right? So Vaporeon being very charismatic, I tend to be a lot higher. In fact, when I do a lot of his voice lines, I have almost a smile on my face because I need that kind of the way it's like worded and the way I have to contort my my neck a little bit. It kind of makes me smile to like change the pitch of my voice to get that.
Yeah, I mean, Vaporeon, he's a character who's always got a spring in his step and a smile on his face. So
spring in his smile and a step in his face.
Yes, that one. If you've got that same energy, you bring that to the voice, and everything's absolutely amazing. Whereas if you if you gave it a grumpy voice, come on, everyone, the lighthouse is the big thing with the light at the top, but doesn't work.
Yeah.
Be the character, live the character, love the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's also like sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to quickly make a sort of point that I remember hearing, and I think I was actually going to ask Neville if you agree with this. I think you might. That it's really more important to hit like these tonal like inflections to like be convincing in your normal voice more than be able to mimic a different voice. Like instead of imitating things, being able to authentically sound like you're in a certain mood is more important than just being able to do an impression or a funny voice. But in Team 5 we get to do both, so you kind of get to have it both ways.
Yeah, people have always said, it's like there's two differences to being a voice actor. You've got somebody who can do a perfect impression and somebody who can act.
Yeah.
If you can do a perfect impression of this person, that's great. But can you use that voice and do a dramatic scene instead of the line that you've heard a million times?
Mm-hmm.
If you can act that character, be that character, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and because acting is... There's a level of your brain thinks it's kind of like, I think it's very approachable, right? And I think a lot of online projects and a lot of people offer up their voices for voice acting because it's so approachable and like, oh, I could speak into a microphone and record it. but there's a lot of things that you develop and build over time that you don't quite get. Obviously, you need to practice, and obviously doing more projects and everything, and just keep offering your voice. That's fantastic. That's a great way to practice. But you also, one thing Cody and I had to do, and Cody especially jumped into this role, is directing and telling people what you're looking for in the voice. Because I find a lot of things that I've kind of seen online, they feel directionless, like with their acting and thing. But especially if you have different actors from other places and different recording setups, there's no cohesion a lot of times. They're kind of like given a script and told to act it out. But then you leave that to the actor's interpretation, and you're missing the overview of the director who sees the entire story. And they're like, no, this is what this scene's about.
And that was the thing I loved about our table reads as well. When we all sat down together, read the lines, we could actually have conversations. We don't just read in the script. We were talking to the person who spoke before us. They spoke in a way that made us, it's like how they spoke is how you respond.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The table reads were so vital, honestly, for getting everything to sound as good as it ended up sounding. Because a lot of the lines were tweaked. We talked about this a bit, and we touched on it in the writing episode, the first episode of The Peel.